The corporation is asking for you to sell your unit and move out.
Oh, you think?
That's the request at
Oh,
this point.
oh,
Living in the community and behaving.
So you think I'm gonna just put it for sale and sell my unit? If
That's the request.
if it was that simple, it would have already been sold 2000.
Hello, YouTube watchers. Welcome back. Today we're going to explore the question, why didn't the condo spree killer just sell his unit? Now, on the surface, it seems like that would be the path of least resistance and the logical thing to do. And with the incredible seller's market we were in, the last 18 months would have been the ideal time to get out. But I think it's more complicated than that. So let's go back to the beginning. We see here that Villi purchased his unit in February of 2014. It was listed and sold twice in the 5 years prior to when he bought, and my guess is the two previous owners may have been investors who were renting the unit out, since I noticed a listing for a lease at $1,400 per month a few years prior. So about 15 months after the purchase, Villi listed the unit for sale. It's likely he was experiencing some of the issues with sound or vibrations from the electrical room below his unit very shortly after he moved in. Now, some may think Villi was making these issues up, but listen, there are some units in every building that you want to avoid because they may be problematic. For example, many people love a penthouse suite, except for me because I don't like heights. But if you know anything about how condo buildings are laid out, you'll know that the penthouse is likely right next to or directly below the mechanical room, which is often located up by the rooftop. And that houses the HVAC system, cooling towers, building generator, elevator shaft maintenance rooms. And these systems are massive and they can be noisy, especially when something malfunctions. You may also consider whether the unit you're interested in faces an alleyway or a garage entrance where the recycling and garbage trucks come every Monday and Tuesday to pick up the trash. You need to figure these things out before you buy. And Villi's unit was on the ground floor, which is generally not a desirable location to begin with. So he lists his unit shortly after purchasing it. But based on what I can tell from comparable sales in this community at the time, he wanted a premium, and his unit didn't warrant a premium. And it didn't appear his real estate agent was doing him any favors. The unit was not updated in any way, not staged, very sparsely furnished, and the photos used included ones posted by the previous seller from their listing. So there was no effort put into this listing. He probably didn't want to budge on price. He was stubborn. Not only that, but it's possible he chose a 5-year fixed mortgage when he purchased his condo. And if you know anything about mortgages, fixed rate mortgages are very expensive to get out of. And this is why I always go variable. It's also because I have commitment issues. So he may have impulsively listed his unit shortly after purchasing it, only to discover that if he sold and discharged his mortgage on the unit, he would owe the remaining 3.5 years of interest on the term of that mortgage. And that could be tens of thousands of dollars, especially with it being early on in his amortization, where most of your payment is going towards interest rather than the principal. If he had a variable rate mortgage, he would only be on the hook for 3 months of interest, which could amount to a few $1,000s, depending on how much he borrowed. So this is my theory, because he attempted to sell again 5 years later, which would have been around the time of his mortgage renewal. Prior to that, he may have decided to rather pursue having the corporation see if the issues he was having with his unit could be corrected at the cost of the corporation. So I believe it was his intention to just leave in 2015. But financially, his hands were tied and he moved to Plan B. And Villi was no stranger to manipulating the legal system. We'll go into a couple of previous cases where it appears he tried to make bogus insurance claims, but that's for another video. Now we fast forward to the end of 2019, about 5 years after his initial purchase, and not the best time of year to list a property. He put his unit up for sale once more, and again, based on the comparable prices at that time, he listed at a premium. Other units in the same building complex on higher floors and very beautifully staged and updated were listed and sold for less than what Villi expected. Not only that, but by this time, he already had a long-standing dispute with the condo board of directors, which involved lawsuits. The first was initiated by the Condominium Corporation against Villi in November of 2018 due to his aggressive behavior towards people in the community, and another was filed by Villi against the corporation in June of 2019. And in this complaint that Villi filed, he outlines the issues with his unit. So, when a condo corporation is involved in any ongoing legal cases, it must be reported and documented in the corporation documents. And this includes something called the status certificate. So anyone who has been shopping around for a condo has heard this term, especially here in Ontario. Now, if you don't know what a status certificate is, it outlines the state of the corporation and includes rules, bylaws, financial reports, reserve fund study, and it discloses any lawsuits by or against the corporation. This means anyone who may have shown any interest in Villi's unit when it was listed would likely have requested the status certificate from the property management company for their lawyer to review. The lawyer would no doubt see his complaint and be tipped off about the electrical room issue under his unit. Red flag. So that would make any prospective buyer run. So he shot himself in the foot there. And I should clarify for anyone outside of Ontario, Canada, that the information I just discussed is based on the Ontario Condo Act, but I would imagine similar scenarios or procedures would apply in any other jurisdictions, stratas, HOAs, and the like. So it appears the following year, after his second failed listing, the COVID situation managed to keep Villi in his unit. And while he was there, he dwelled on every little sound. He was seething with anger, and his resentment was growing. And then once those restrictions were lifted, it appears he resumed his campaign of harassment against the board, building staff, and his fellow neighbors. And in September of 2021, this resulted in an order of contempt where he violated the 2019 court order for him to stop this behavior. So in retaliation, Villi filed a claim against the condominium board of directors the following year in the amount of $8.1 million. I mean, maybe if we were in the States, yeah, but in Canada, not a chance. Now, again, when the condominium corporation is involved in any legal claim for or against This gets documented in regulatory filings the corporation is required to make on a quarterly basis. And even though the claim was not against the corporation directly, the board members are indemnified by the corporation's insurance policy. So unless, of course, it's proven that the board acted in bad faith and did not act in the interest of the corporation, they would likely be covered by the corporation's insurance. So, and I'm just going to sidebar, anytime if you're a condo owner, you want to file a suit against your corporation, just think real hard about it, because you are a part of that condo corporation. So you're basically filing against your own best interests, depending on what the case is. But a lot of these cases I see are just so ridiculous and frivolous, and the money spent on legal fees is coming out of the maintenance payments that you make on a monthly basis. But I digress. At this point, Villi likely knew what was in store for him: eviction by way of a court order forcing him to sell his unit. So towards the end of September of this year, he listed his unit once again, the third time. And once again, he wanted an unrealistic price given the market conditions, which were not favorable towards sellers, and comparable sales in the complex would suggest that. Not only that, but if anyone were interested in making an offer and got a hold of that status certificate, not only would they see all of the details of the dispute between Villi and his corporation, which included the issues he outlined with his unit and the whopping $8.1 million lawsuit against those associated with the corporation, they would also likely have seen a lien against the unit. I believe there was a lien on the unit because in one previous court decision, Villi was ordered to pay the corporation $2,500 in court fees, which I bet he refused to pay. So if you're not familiar with a lien, this is a claim against an asset owned by an individual where they owe money to a creditor, and the creditor puts a lien on their property to secure payment should that owner sell the asset. So when you try and sell the asset with a lien, part of the proceeds of that sale are held back to pay the creditor. Whether or not seeing a lien would be a deterrent for a potential buyer, I don't know. It would certainly raise some red flags, though, and be cause for further probing. Also, at this point, Villi claimed he was $200,000 in debt. So even if he sold, the equity would be used to pay off that line of credit. And given what he would probably have to sell his unit for, very little would be left over. So why didn't he just sell his unit? I hope this discussion was enlightening, and I invite you to like and leave any comments below, and subscribe for a deeper dive into this case. Fortunately, I was able to grab a lot of the videos he posted on his Facebook page before it was taken down, so I'd like to play those for you at some point. Thanks for watching.
I am broke. I have no money. Now that $200,000 a month from $400, now it's $1,100 a month because the interest went up. Where am I supposed to get $1,100 a month to pay to the bank when I only earn $1,800 of a pension? And $600 and almost $700 I gotta pay for maintenance fee here. Where am I gonna get all this money?